I cannot look into these cameras without addressing the fact that I have something hideous on my face.
I forgot for a sec.
You forgot this disgusting mustache I have right now.
Yeah, it's
something. Well, it doesn't help that you're sitting right here next to me too with that beautiful beard.
Little grown out. Yeah,
just a little bit.
I even trimmed it up a little bit today
Making
too.
it look bad. Guys, this is a rare time of the year when I'm not really on camera for the main channel. I'm not really going anywhere until Thanksgiving probably, so I can kind of just...
So you hunker down with a mustache.
I can just kind of be gross, and no one can say boo about it. You know what I mean?
Why not?
Besides the podcast viewers.
Do it while you can.
I'll let you 2,000
before you get arrested.
People, yeah, exactly. I'll just go to the gym in the morning, keep my head down, sit in this house, work, do this podcast, and it's fair game to have the mustache. If my mom sees this, I'm sorry, Mom. Genuinely sorry.
I like the stash. I've actually rocked some pretty cool mustaches in the day too, but my wife doesn't let me do it.
The question is, how dense can the stash get? Because right now it's lacking density a bit.
Yeah, you could fill it in.
I need it to be filled in more.
You could fill it in.
What do you mean? You're saying I could fill it in? Like
you could color it a little bit.
No, that's not an option. It needs to be. This is a man's stash.
Isn't don't you just got to shave it more? Or is that a myth?
That's what they say. But I do shave like every other day usually.
Yeah, so you're years away.
So yeah. Well, Jack.
Maybe when you're like 48.
You think can I make it to next Monday for this pod with this stash?
What do you mean? Can you make it?
Like, can I survive another week on this planet walking around like this, or is this too bad for my image?
You could get put in cuffs. You could. It's a possibility.
If you were an officer, would you pull me over with this? Even if I was going maybe 2 over max?
I definitely think about it.
You would?
I would think about it.
End of the month, maybe?
End of the month, I got to meet my quota. I'd think about it.
You know, it is what it is, guys. I have friends that encourage me to do stupid things like grow out a mustache, and I always say, like, I'll do it in November, because it's like the no shave November thing, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I had, Jack, until like yesterday, I had the whole face going. It was awful. And then shaved, left the stash. And
I honestly think you should double down and get a little patch going down here.
It's just...
Yeah.
No, Jack.
Yeah.
This is the encouragement that I get
real, get real dirty with it.
I mean, this is pretty dirty right now.
Get dirtier, though. You could get dirtier.
But you do agree this looks terrible, right?
No.
You don't agree?
What?
You think this looks good?
Yes.
But being honest, as a friend, Jack.
Yeah, it looks fantastic.
You're not being...
That's what I'm saying. Double down.
Truthful. You're not being truthful.
I am being truthful.
I don't think
it looks so good that you could get arrested for it. That's what I said.
I don't know. I need comments about the mustache. How bad does it look? Because I feel like everyone is lying to me and saying that, oh, you should keep it. It looks good. It's just all lies. It's all lies.
You definitely look older.
Okay, well, I think I kind of like looking... I'm a clean-cut guy. I like having clean face, look young.
It helps with the voice cracks, though, you know?
No, it doesn't. It's like, why does this guy have a nasty mustache and then his voice cracks like a 15-year-old boy? It doesn't work. Jack could grow a better stash than this when he was 13 years old, guaranteed.
I could grow that stash in like probably like 4 days.
With this in 4 days?
Yeah.
This isn't that long. This has been only... I mean, we were in Atlanta last week.
Yeah.
So this has only been like 8 days, I think.
Okay.
But it just needs to be
keep
more
it going
dense.
then. You haven't even given it a chance.
We'll keep it going. We'll see. I mean, in theory...
Give it 3 weeks.
Okay, we'll see.
Let's go to at least Thanksgiving.
I'm going to walk into my parents' house, like, get something, and be like, what the heck is on your face? Thanksgiving is doable, Jack. That's only 2.5 weeks away.
Yeah.
That's playable.
At least Thanksgiving, I'm saying.
At least Thanksgiving.
If you go to Thanksgiving dinner and it's well received, then you double down for another 3
Christmas?
weeks. Yes. Go back to Christmas.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
This would be
more than 3 weeks.
bold at a midnight mass.
Yes.
Maybe it'll get thick, though. I don't know.
Eventually you could just curl it.
That's
sides.
the dream. That's the dream.
I've done that.
Have you?
It's incredible.
God, I don't know if I'm there yet, man. I don't know if I'm there yet, but we'll see, guys. Today's podcast is not all about mustaches and my ugly face. Today, on the docket, we have a lot of things. Number one being talking about the preview show.
Yes.
A little bit of the highlights, the highs, the lows, behind the scenes of how we got that venue. Same kind of deal for the World Series itself, talking about booking the venue, the event itself, the stressful parts of it, coordinating everything, the little things. I don't know. All over the place. Planning.
Yep.
That sort of thing. Talked about a funny Jack teammate story. I complained about being bad at Fortnite. And, of course, comment of the week, fun fact at the end. So, jam-packed pod. The pod was a lot more dense than my mustache was, put it that way.
Oh, it is very dense.
It's
one of the densest ones we've had.
If we can
especially just because it was literally just Tommy and I.
Yeah, just Jack and I. Just talking. Just two dudes talking. Mm-hmm. But without further ado, this is the Pipe It Up podcast, and cue the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pipe It Up Podcast, the official podcast of MLW Wiffle Ball. And no games to talk about this week for the first time in I don't know how long.
We had a good relay race.
Good relay race. That was a game. That was a competition.
Yeah.
But no MLW games for the first time since May on a Friday. Probably pretty weird as a fan.
It is a little bit weird. The video was awesome, though.
I thought it actually turned out pretty good. I was pretty happy with how it turned out.
Mm-hmm.
You were there, obviously. You saw it being filmed and everything. What did you think of the final product?
You know, I was very impressed when we were like at the restaurant. Shout out to Lucky's Burger and Brew. Awesome place. I think there's a couple of them down in Atlanta. That place was awesome. The staff was super friendly and welcoming. But I felt I was trying to like picture what the video would look like as we were going through it. And there were, a lot of different takes, like with people holding the signs up in the back. So I was interested to see like which ones actually got in the video and whatnot. But I mean, it turned out awesome. It looked so much like College Game Day with the signs and that pavilion,
stage
booth stage thing that they had there it couldn't have been more perfect for what you guys were trying to do.
No, it was such a blessing. It felt like a gift from God just was like put into my lap because we had this idea. Essentially what it came down to was like a lot of you guys who have followed the channel for a while kind of understood was that filming this World Series on Sunday, traveling home on Monday, trying to get out a high quality game one on the Friday was going to be a challenge. So we're like, what can we do to maybe offset that and make something that's still cool, easier to edit in terms of time-wise.
Right.
So that's sort of what it came down to, as well as this is a cool thing we've always wanted to do, used to do it, but those two things combined kind of is what contributed to this video happening. But anyways, the clock was ticking on like finding a venue, and Kyle wanted a certain venue at like a certain place where like, you had a stage, you had an area where we could be privately, no music, and I'm like thinking to myself, like downtown Atlanta, what the heck am I going to find? Like there's such a tough thing to do and a tough sell, being like, hi, I want to come in, I want to film a YouTube video, no music, no people. Like it's such a tough thing to sell at a restaurant, you know what I mean? So I was, with only like 3 weeks to go, we had this idea. I'm like, this is going to be a nightmare trying to find some place. I know what they're going to charge, whatever. And so I started doing some Googles for like sports bars in Atlanta and found some stuff, but I wasn't really seeing what I was wanting to see in terms of something that can be filmed indoors. Keep in mind, I have a Michigan brain too. I'm like, okay, it's kind of cold outside, but I forget that we're going down south. So anyways, plus you're in downtown Atlanta. Like there's no big outdoor spaces like that. So I ended up, after maybe a couple of hours of looking through things, my search ended up being like neighborhood-friendly sports bars in Atlanta. And the very first one to pop up was Lucky's. So I made note of that, found a couple other ones that weren't quite as appealing, but also might have worked if the staff were to cooperate and stuff. So pick up the phone, call Lucky's. They have a couple locations, like you said. So there was a location closer to downtown Atlanta. I think it was Brookhaven, Georgia. People were saying, like, why'd you go so far north? But I just told you why, because it's hard to find a place to do something like that. So I called the Brookhaven one first. The call wouldn't go through. Email I didn't get a response for. So I called then the Roswell location, which was about 40 minutes north of the city. And within 2 minutes, they're like, yeah, that sounds perfect. Like, no problem. And I was like, okay, what do you guys charge for something like that? They're like, nothing. Like, as long as you guys are ordering food, that's fine. No one's reserved it. And I was like, this sounds incredible. So it was just off my plate. Don't have to worry about it anymore. And I called them again later and went through the details of what was going to actually happen. And they were still fine with it and everything. But it was a blessing that worked out as good as it did. And it really couldn't have gone better in terms of, the staff cooperating and the people that were there being friendly and respectful of us filming. It was great. And I was nervous mostly about the lighting. A couple things. Number one was, yes, I saw the turf area and the stage from Google Maps and their Instagram page and Google Images, but I wasn't quite sure how big that was.
It's tough to gauge.
And that's mostly used for live bands.
Honestly, it was a lot bigger than I was expecting. The whole turf area.
Yeah. So that was a concern of mine, was how it's going to actually work, as well as can we fit this desk along with our cameras up on this stage to have people behind us still, because it was designed for a band to be playing, facing the crowd, not the way we had it, where it was flipped around. So I was concerned about that too, as well as when we got there, the way the sun was setting, the lighting looked really bad on camera. And I was like, I don't know if this is going to work, because when Kyle and I sit down, the sun was setting behind us. So it was we were just two shadows. But then what saved it was the signs being held up, blocked out a lot of the lights. It actually looked really good. So it was lucky. Funny. But yeah, I thought the signs looked better than expected. Like it looked pretty crowded behind us with all the fans, family, friends, as well as, you know, went pretty smooth. Everyone I think that attended, the families that went out, had a good time. Mm-hmm. There was plenty of space for the little relay race thing we did. So I was pretty happy with it, you know, all things considered.
Yeah.
It's crazy how things come together sometimes.
So a couple just like side notes. Number one, it being 40 minutes away from downtown, you know, that might sound like a bit of a distance, but we didn't really get to see a lot of Atlanta. You know, it was a business trip.
Yeah,
while we were down there. Classic business trip. But that drive was kind of cool because we, you know, drove north out of the city and drove by a lot of, you know, large corporation, you know, their businesses and the buildings they have there. And it was really cool. Like I have never been, you know, I've driven through Atlanta, but have never spent a lot of time down there. And I didn't realize like how new a lot of the city was. Like some of those buildings were brand new. And then once we actually got to Lucky's, you know, we did have the area reserved, but kind of on the side, there were a lot of, I would say, shenanigans going on with, you know, like if you played youth sports, you probably have this place in your mind of like after a game or after a practice, all the parents would say it's like Buffalo Wild Wings or something. It's like you're still wearing like your football pants, and like you're going and getting some wings. You're messing around in the parking lot, you know, where you shouldn't be.
Great memories,
right? That's what this place brought back for me, because that was like exactly what was happening on, or you know, exactly what was happening there. So yeah, it was a great vibe, great environment all around. I feel like it worked. It was exactly what we needed for the video.
Yeah, I agree. Couldn't have worked out much better besides a little bit of a commute. But once again, it was cool to get out.
Yeah, it was cool
stuff. It was hot outside, and I was concerned. Kyle, we packed the suits, right? I was nervous about that too because I didn't have like a garment bag. I'm like, this is so wrinkled coming out of my bag after flying with this thing. But we like step outside from the airport, and we go to the stadium to set up the field. We exit. He's like, "Do you still want to do the suits?" I was like, "I mean, I brought it. I'll wear the suit. Like, I'll probably be sweating, but it's just it is what it is." So we ended up doing it. We got changed. I was surprised I didn't look worse on camera. Didn't look totally greased over, but I was a little warm for sure.
You didn't look bad on camera at all.
The jacket had to stay on.
I'll just be blunt here. You looked worse in person than you did on camera. The camera
I
did
agree,
you well.
100%.
You looked sweaty. I felt
usually
bad.
It's the opposite though. Usually you look worse on camera, I feel like.
I agree.
So,
and I've also been in those situations where like you're wearing a suit in an environment that you just like don't want to be wearing a suit in, and you're just pouring sweat. But you looked way better.
I did. I agreed. I know there was a woman there who, once again, great staff, so friendly, but we showed up, they're all excited, and so they had like an iPad filming for Instagram Live. You can probably find it somewhere, and she's like up in my face interviewing me, and I'm like squinting in the sun, just sweating. I'm like, this is so bad right now. But they were so nice, and
not ideal.
The camera saved me somehow.
The food was great too. The food was really good.
I was busy with the whatever was going on, but you had the wings. How were the wings? Hot?
They weren't hot.
Not.
I'm gonna come clean.
They weren't that hot?
The hot wings were not that hot.
Okay.
I mean, I have like I would say an above average spice tolerance, but those still were not really hot.
Well, here's the deal.
I heard that those were the not hottest of what we could have got.
Yeah, so here's the deal, guys. I know people are like, oh my God, the wings weren't hot, whatever. They were still categorized as hot wings. They had a mild, a medium, a hot, and a scorcher. And if it was me eating it with Jack, per se, I would have got the scorcher because it's me suffering alongside of him. But I didn't want to be the guy behind the camera commentating, laughing at you and Carson eating the scorching hot wing. It just felt kind of wrong.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll step it down to hot. It should still be spicy.
Yes.
So
no, that was fair. I did appreciate that because it would have not been as fun. You know, like, the next day when I'm trying to play.
Me and Kyle are gonna film it.
Yeah,
it just felt wrong.
They also, I think the wings were maybe sitting outside
definitely
for an extended period of time, and so temperature wise they were no longer warm. So I don't know if that helped dumb the spice down a little bit. But
that was the same case for me and Drew on the hot ones thing we did upstairs here.
They were cold.
They were cold wings, spicy, yes,
but cold
wings.
Yes. It's very
we got a moth
interesting
over
contrast.
here. We got a moth in the Pipe It Up studio today flying around. Got a guest with us today, but yes, cold wing with spice is also unique. I'd say.
Very, very much so.
I think too the highlight of the day for me is the photos of Carson with the sauce on his face. Those are all-time pictures, guys.
Yes.
Those are all-time. I texted you one before last episode, didn't I?
It was so funny. Oh. So funny. He's just smashing the wings on the plate. Yeah, because
you had the good... He didn't know how to eat a flat.
Yeah, okay.
It was cut down a little bit.
But I hate to be the guy to, boast or toot my own horn here, but I had a near perfectly executed flat eating of a wing, and that did not make it into the video.
No, it did not.
Which is a bummer. But... I don't even remember.
You went with the push down method.
I went with the push down.
Yep.
And the drum.
Yeah, drum.
The drum took me I don't remember how long it took me. Like if it took me 40 seconds, the drum took me 30 seconds. And the flat took me 10.
I agree.
Maybe.
The flat was one bite. It was meat clean off.
One bite, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have the great technique. I've seen stuff on Instagram and YouTube. I watch a lot of food content, guys. I'm getting
so hungry right now.
Yeah, my mouth is watering. I need some more of this water.
Same.
But, I've seen content on Instagram. I watch a lot of food videos of people. It's how to properly eat a flat, and I've seen people grab the bones and just bite the meat and then just pull the bones right out. That never works. I don't know where you're getting those wings that do that, but I'm usually a guy who will take a bite out of one of the sides of meat, on the bone side. So I'm holding it flat like this. And then I'll just separate it with my hands and then eat the middle. Yeah. But you had a push down method that was pretty.
Yeah, you kind of just, for those that don't know, a lot of you probably do.
This is the technique.
Especially if you're in the Buffalo area or something where you eat a lot of wings. But you basically just take the flat and you basically pinch the meat in between the bone, and you pretty much just smash, smush it down.
Yeah.
And it almost just folds off the bone, and then you just flip it over and just dunk it if you got sauce, and then just
there's no sauce here.
Yeah, there was there was sauce on,
no ranch,
no ranch on the side.
Are you a ranch guy?
None of that. I think if one of the two, I'd probably go ranch.
I'm not a blue cheese guy.
I could eat blue cheese. I like blue cheese every once in a while. It's not as good as ranch, but
I am not a picky eater whatsoever. I'll eat pretty much anything. One food I try to avoid is blue cheese. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's not. It's bad.
The one thing my taste buds don't like.
Not even on a salad, a little blue cheese crumble.
Blue cheese just tastes rotten to me. I don't know.
Well, that's what cheese is.
I know, but blue cheese is especially stinky feetish. I mean, it is it not?
No, you're not wrong.
I don't know.
You're not wrong.
It's just
I think that's why a lot of people don't like it.
It's just not for me. I feel like I was a little bit picky as a kid. I didn't like certain vegetables. I pretty much will eat or tolerate anything now, but say I order a salad and it's blue cheese and I didn't know it had blue cheese on it, I'd be like, oh, blue cheese. Yeah. Not it.
Sometimes on a burger, you get blue cheese and, some onions and some barbecue sauce, the kind of sweet and stinky, savory cheese. It mixes together well.
I don't know, Jack.
It's got to be right. It's got to be right. It's easy to mess up.
Okay.
Too much blue cheese is all right, this dish is ruined.
Okay.
You gotta be careful with it.
All right, that's fair. Other highlights from the day, the two picks, both the Sparky celebrity pick. Shout out to Sparky.
Yeah,
that
was awesome.
Good guy for doing that. I appreciate it very much. And then as well as Mark Schultz kind of stole the show.
He did.
Amazing performance.
Started off insanely detailed.
It was
with the picks, got less and less detailed as it went on, ultimately leading to his choice in the Eagles. It was awesome.
I didn't know what was coming there. I didn't know he had the sign. I didn't know about I figured he'd be I'm picking the Eagles, and that'd be that, and headgear on. I didn't know he'd go game by game with this. Grant Miller's hitting a 3-run home run in game 2, and the final score is going to be 4-1. It was so detailed, which is funny.
It was awesome.
Well, I thought, he knocked it out of the park, got his sign out of there, headgear on, he hit the wave, and his sign was pretty elaborate, the little fold down.
It's only right. Mark just continues to solidify himself as such an important, valued member of the MLW community. We were in the VIP meet and greet portion of the event after. We had people asking for Mark Schultz's autograph. They were asking where he was, and rightfully so.
Mm-hmm. I had a rare experience this weekend, Jack. First time ever, I believe, where I was handed a poster at the meet and greet, And he's like, here, sign down here. And I look, and above that was my dad's signature. my dad went to Atlanta. My dad is not the Mark Schultz of the channel, but
I heard that Denise was signing things.
She has signed stuff
KK
before.
was signing things.
That's probably a first.
Yeah, she was.
KK's
confirmed.
She's had some stories told in this podcast about me and her experiences together, my aunt. But yeah, I had some family in Atlanta. And yeah, so I see my dad's signature and I go right below it. Like we have very similar autographs.
That is so funny.
Similar handwriting, so it was funny. But anyways, yeah,
That's
Sparky,
hilarious.
great guy for doing that. I really appreciated that. And shout out to Sparky's Rangers too. They won the World Series. So I'm sure he's on
That's
Cloud
right.
Nine right now.
That's right.
Josh Jung, our boy.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
That's awesome.
I was talking to Kyle about that and I'm like, that'd be a weird feeling to me. I don't know. I guess you don't know until you experience it. But if you're, 22, 23 years old, make it to the bigs, you're a rookie, great year, and you win, it's like, what now?
Yeah.
I just won the World Series.
I mean, we obviously both watched every game, and but just for maybe some of the audience that haven't watched it, how did Josh individually perform in the World Series?
Great. No World Series home runs. I really wanted him to go deep in the World Series, but he had a 2-homer game in the CS against the Astros, which is sweet. I think his postseason average was like 300. He had multiple hits in the World Series, scored a lot of runs. He was getting on base, so he did great, and happy for him. We preached about him on the podcast before about how nice he was, and I'm sure a lot of guys in the MLB are nice, but to see it firsthand and how kind he was, and he already said he wants to come back to Houston again for our tournament next month, so just really happy for him and his family, and it's pretty sweet.
That's awesome.
I mean, I knew he was a high draft pick, and I knew he was talented, and I'd watched his highlights before we met him, but then to see him go out there and have a great season, and then see the Rangers get hot at the right time, it was like, dang, this guy's going to win the World Series, I think, so that was cool.
Sweet.
He had a great year, so I'm excited to see how his career pans out. But other than that, Jack, anything else from the preview show you wanted to talk about? I think I hit all my stops.
I'm not sure if you had any segments planned for the end of this episode.
Okay.
But I think it's only fair. I hate to do it. Probably not great manager material, or I guess I should say probably just not what you want to hear from your manager. But I gotta talk about the whiff of the week here with Trevor Bonham. I mean, it needs to be addressed in the relay.
Yeah.
With a very commanding lead. And I think he was practicing the chip shot for about an hour leading up to the relay.
Afternoon.
The entire time we were there, while everyone's eating, holding up signs in the back for the game day portion, Trevor and Dallas were over there practicing the chipping. And then my boy TB is just pulling everything to the left. Pulling everything. TB2 is just pull. Didn't adjust. I mean, we had a commanding lead.
You did.
And it was, and I'm bummed I didn't get.
I haven't seen a lead blown that bad since the Cobras back in 2017.
No, exactly. I mean, exactly.
It was. I think the problem was he almost had too much time. He was really taking his time on each shot. I think he should have went more with the rapid fire.
He should have just got lucky. Just rapid fire got lucky.
I will say though.
Sorry, Trevor. It had to be
said. Glad you brought that up. It was definitely a choke there on the third leg of the relay race. But in your defense and in everybody's defense, Dallas has shot that one and wasn't the prettiest. He kind of just hit a little dribbler over there.
That's all you needed.
I know.
That's all you needed.
But in the practice rounds, they were kind of going for the clean chip, and they started to bounce it, and it got more and more bouncy as the day went on. And it was like, that's how we're going to end this thing, on a little dribbler into the net. But, I mean, a win's a win.
A dub's a dub.
Dub's a dub.
Dub's a dub.
Gave the Eagles any sort of momentum, I guess you could bring into the following day. So that was Saturday night, if it wasn't clear. That was Saturday, October 28th. And then we drove back to downtown Atlanta and then prepped all this stuff. And then Sunday morning was the World Series. So that was actually filmed in Atlanta.
Yes.
If you guys were unclear.
Yeah. So I think just that's really all I had left to be said about that video, but great video. I guess moving more into the actual event on Sunday, without giving away any of the results. I guess just talk to the audience about kind of the planning that went into this. Like, how did you even get into and settle on Mercedes-Benz in Atlanta?
Well, it's a combination of just very similar to SoFi last year. It was just an opportunity presenting itself, and then, okay, what do we got to do to capitalize on this? Like, how do you actually make it happen versus just an idea? So in terms of the venue and why Mercedes and whatnot, number one, I'd put it up there in the top 2 of the NFL stadiums, with SoFi being number 1, and then that being number 2. I might even put Mercedes above that, to be honest, after seeing both. They're both incredible venues. SoFi had more of like I'm not a well-versed guy in the LA area, but it did have more of like an LA feel. It felt very modern and new and techy.
Futuristic.
Yeah. It felt very like corporate event and like just a fun place to be for a concert, a game, whatever. Whereas Mercedes-Benz Stadium felt like a football stadium.
Had a little grit to it.
Had a little bit of grit to it in terms of just like the Falcons colors being everywhere around it. You know, SoFi Stadium's for 2 teams.
Right.
And stuff like that. So it's very different. Whereas Mercedes-Benz has red everywhere and the seats had the Falcons logo on it. And
sweet.
Falcon stuff everywhere. They also do host Atlanta United MLS soccer, which is cool too, as well as concerts and whatnot. But it felt more like this is the home stadium for my football team, which is the Atlanta Falcons, right? So that was cool. And the roof in there is incredible, how it opens up, and they had the red up in the morning, which was really cool to see. It was just different vibe. That's an aside a bit. How we got the venue, like I said. Opportunity came up to where one of the former ticket sales, now in the event space more so, followed Kyle on Twitter, and then we just followed that up with a DM saying like we'd love to get on a call.
She works in ticket sales for them?
Rob did work in ticket sales. Now he's in I think he's still in ticket sales, but he's not like just like making cold calls anymore. He's more of on the management side of things.
Oh, I see. For Mercedes-Benz.
For the Falcons and MLS, yeah.
I see.
So
okay.
Yes. So that's how it happened. Just a follow on Twitter, and then we connected on LinkedIn with him, got on a call with him probably.
What was the timeline?
Came together late.
When did you start planning
came together late for sure, and I had other ideas. I guess I won't say them because it could be a next year thing, but SoFi, we sort of had, I think, first contact in May, and it was pretty much locked down prior to the All-Star break. This didn't come together till later. Like early August was probably our first meetings, mid-August, and then September really got more set in stone.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was like we had already told you guys before the playoffs where we were going to be, but we were still kind of crossing the T's and dotting the I's on everything, making sure it was good to go. So, yeah, that's kind of how it came together. Later than before, a couple meetings. And it actually was, I guess I'll say this. The original idea was to do it privately again. And like with no fans, if that makes sense.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So that's what Kyle wanted to do just because of spoilers and whatnot. And I was more so on the side of I wanted to have fans there. And so we went back and forth on that for a while. So he pitched it to them as a private event like SoFi was. And we were going to do it in mid-September again. And Rob kind of came back and was like, not going to work. There's no dates available. Can't get you on the field. So it was kind of like dead. And then we counter-emailed with the idea of doing it with fans on that October 28th, 29th weekend. And he emailed us back saying, I like the pivot, as well as we just had there was like 2 events in the field that day, half and half, I think. It was like a sneaker con, something else. And it all got canceled the week before. So it was like, it's open that day. We could do it then. And they liked the idea of having fans there. So it like just all kind of came together quickly after that.
Wow.
That makes sense.
So if this would spoil something for maybe next year, then you don't have to answer it. But let's just say that it didn't work out that way and it fell through. Was there a plan B, or would it just been playing it at the Meadows, like good old times?
It wouldn't have been at the Meadows. Okay. We would have done something cool. Okay. Like I said, I don't want to spoil too much, but there was ideas that were more easily attainable compared to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Still very cool venues in my opinion, but I think it would have been easier logistically to make happen. Gotcha. And I was confident of like the 6 choices I had laid out that we would have been able to secure one of them within the 2-month window we had. Gotcha. So
you mentioned, you said you didn't want to spoil some ideas because, might come into play next year. But what did you guys, other than having live fans, what did you look to do differently after having the experience in SoFi from a year ago versus this year?
Yeah, fans is a big one.
Yeah.
So that was definitely something that changed a lot, as well as this will pertain a little bit to the YouTube audience too, because we will incorporate what we were showing on the boards into the YouTube videos. But we didn't have any displays on in LA. Like all the scoreboards and the fascias, they're called, like the little strips you see around the stadium, of digital displays. None of that was incorporated last year. And we just had half the field at SoFi, and like even on the board, they were doing stuff like while we were playing, like they were testing out graphics and whatnot for the Rams games, which was cool for us because it was cool to see it happening and it made cool backgrounds for us. Yeah. But it was nothing MLW branded, or we had no control over it. So with fans being there, you kind of have to make it so, yes, fans help the YouTube video, but okay, people are paying to come watch this event. You got to make it somewhat of like an experience. So we wanted to have the boards on, so we worked through the details of that with their production team. And so we had the main, they call it the Halo board. So it's very similar to SoFi where it's like a continuous loop.
Yeah, really cool.
Difference at SoFi is that it's double-sided at SoFi. This one at Mercedes-Benz is not. And also the one at SoFi too, it's funny. At field level at SoFi looking up, you can kind of just see it as plain as it is. Whereas field level here, like if you're a player, say on the Falcons, say Bijan Robinson, you look up at the board to watch your touchdown replay, you can't really see it. It's like black down there.
It is tough to see.
You go to the crowd, it's crystal clear, but it's really hard to see anything from the field, which is weird. But so that was a big change.
Addition, yeah.
Wasn't too much work. I mean, it was because we were like crammed to finish it, but like meeting the deadlines and stuff like that. But it was just one really long day. But we had like a main display that was always showing during the games, which you guys already saw pictures of, where it had both the team logos, World Series logo, MLW Wiff ball, that sort of thing. And then we had a couple videos that played in between the games while you guys were changing your jerseys and taking a breather for 5 minutes just to keep the crowd entertained. So just like when you go to, say you're a Dodgers fan, you go to a Dodgers game, and in between innings, there'll be like, let's say there's a woman who works there who gets on the microphone and she talks, and then like a video plays, or they get the crowd involved, stuff like that. Excuse me.
Nice.
Stuff like that. We try to do our best at. So we had one video that played in between the games for all the fans.
Sock toss redemption.
Sock toss redemption happened as well. And then, so you guys stay tuned for that in the video. I don't know if it'll make final cut, but it was a success. And no net this time, so it was easy. And what else? So yeah, that incorporated, as well as we had microphones at field level to talk to the fans if there was like a review that ever happened, or saying if there's like a controversial call, like making things more clear. If like a ball that ticked the zone that wasn't clear from the fans, Kyle could say that sort of thing. So it was just making it more of an experience for the fans that were there, as well as making it, trying to be better for the YouTube video too. So we got more signage for the fence this year compared to last year. Besides that, the field was pretty similar to last year. The signage was the big difference in the fence. We stepped that up. And then you'll have, like I said, the board, the fascia, what they call it. You'll be able to see the team logos and the scores in the main shot on YouTube too, which was cool. Fans can see it behind us. You'll see it in the camera view as well.
So 2-part question. After having the event in Los Angeles, you know, I'm sure there were some challenges with that. Was there anything that you like had already gone through once, so you're like, oh, we're not going to do that again, and we're going to fix it for this time?
Kinda. You learn a couple things. It was definitely different this year, right? Because SoFi, we sort of just showed up and did our thing with like nobody watching, so you can easily screw up and do something again in terms of like the live production aspect of it. But so there was definitely challenges there. But one thing we did at SoFi that we didn't do this year is, so we have that pop-up PVC fence we buy for these events, which is unfortunately kind of expensive. You know, it's a couple $1,000s, but we paid a fortune to ship that back to Michigan this year to use it whenever we needed to, which we did use it in Detroit, so we got something out of it. But this year I told Kyle, I was like, there's no point in shipping that back. Like, we already have one here. It's more expensive. It's basically, what I'm saying is we could have shipped that fence we got in SoFi to Atlanta to use again, the same fence. And that was kind of the idea when we did it. And I'm like, dude, it is cheaper to buy a new fence and leave it in Atlanta than it is to ship our existing one there and back. So that's what we did, which stinks. Like, it feels like a waste. And I tried to donate it. I didn't have a lot of time to coordinate that, but I called some organizations. No one got back to me. But yeah, that was a change. Yeah, I mean, just a budgetary change.
So okay, so then the follow up, the second part of the question is, what were the new challenges that we faced this year and at Mercedes-Benz?
Definitely, timeline was a major concern of mine. Just doing it live and having fans there that are entering the gate at a certain time, and us having to have the field set up at a certain time, then people can enter. Merch is going. Like, so much is happening where I can't coordinate it all. And like, our budget's not huge for these events, you know what I mean? So we're getting like parents involved, and you guys are helping us out, of course, and having everything start on time, finish on time, getting everybody out of the stadium, having them have time to eat their food and enjoy the break and buy merch. Because if you have a game that goes to extra innings, that stresses you out a bunch. If you have a game that goes to 6 innings, or a game that goes like where it's 15-12, like, you're kind of, it's out of your control a little bit, right? And you make these assumptions and promises to the staff members, like, yeah, you know, a game could go to 7 innings or 8 innings, or we could have a game that's a crazy score with a bunch of walks that takes forever. Assuming like it went to 5 games and there was extra innings, I was like, this is going to be so close of getting us out of here in time. And I didn't want to be rude to the staff and everything. And I'm sure like things could change on the back end. So that was a big stressor. But so that was something that was changing, as well as, like I said, getting things prepared. What was even the question? I don't remember, ranting, but
just the challenges, just the new challenges.
That was the big thing. That was a challenge that, like I said, was sort of out of my control. But one thing that was huge, Jack, was the initial plan was to enter at 7 a.m., do the field setup, and then have the gates open at 8:30 for the public. We were able to get into to Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Saturday afternoon before we went to Lucky's, which was huge. Such a big stress relief. So that really alleviated a bunch of my concerns. I was like, okay, now we're going to start on time.
For sure.
And there won't be any major hiccups that we encounter in the morning. We can encounter those on Saturday when no one's watching. We sort of have unlimited time. You know, we had noon to 3, so we had 3 hours of setup time. So that was massive weight off our shoulders of Sunday morning being way less stressful for everybody.
Yeah, I must say, you know,
you saw how fast that 2 hours went in the morning.
Oh yeah. Typically, you know, we would, I wasn't involved in the setup crew on Saturday, but you know, if we weren't able to do that, it would have been pretty much all hands on deck Sunday morning to like get the field set up, ready to go, prepped. And it was really cool from just like not having to do that, because it let us, like the players, get more time to kind of just sort of soak in the whole event and the whole venue. Like, you know, stretch out a little bit, like warm up, you know, take our time, just really get in the headspace to, you know, go out there and compete. So that was, you know, that was an overlooked part of the whole massive orchestra, you know, massive of the W event
for us to be able to set up on Saturday. Plus it gave us time to do more fun stuff. Like, not only was the morning not super stressful for you, but like you got to eat breakfast and have some time to like chill for a sec. But before, people were like, can we wear a pregame fit, like kind of get dressed up or that sort of thing? And I was like, well, it's going to be super tight on time in the morning. Probably not. Like, I don't want you to waste 10 minutes then changing your clothes too after that crazy setup. So once we were done on Saturday, I texted everybody, like, if you did bring a fit, like, you're good to wear it. We should be fine. So stuff like that definitely helped. Other challenges too were just like technical stuff. So like I said, we had a walkie at field level to like coordinate what was happening on the video board. So for example, like when we were approaching the end of game 1, I was like, ready such and such video. And then once like Kyle made the announcement of what was happening, I was like, cue video, and then they'd go for it. So that was like new to me. I'd never done that before. And we didn't really experience too many problems. There was one time where they cued a video a little bit too early, but it was fine. No one would notice. And then we had the back fascia. So the fascia on the side that's in the camera shot where it had logos, inning, and score. In the second game, they reset it back to inning 1, and then for some reason the score disappeared. Like you could see the inning and the team logos, but no score. So I radioed up and I'm like, the north side fascia is not displaying score anymore. And it was funny to hear the team on the walkies and like trying to figure out what was wrong, but it ended up getting resolved, I think, in time for the third game.
Okay.
So, but it was funny. It's like stuff like that happens, and it's like we can't just stop this event right now. Like,
right.
So people are watching. So whatever, we won't be able to see the score on the video boards for game 2, but.
The fascia boards were really cool, I must admit. I guess other than just what we've talked about already, is there anything that, you know, people might not think about when it comes to planning an event of this size?
I mean, there's a lot that can go wrong. There really is. And it's probably...
What an optimistic...
Well, I'm just saying there is. Like, I was so stressed out about everything. And it's a lot of work for a team of 2 to try to pull off, which I think we did a pretty good job. But like, if you had a massive team with an event coordinator and then a bunch of people helping out, it wouldn't be as much of a nightmare. But you know, it was a lot of work. It was a long couple weeks. Like 3 weeks prior to that were just a ton of work. Like I said, we had a super long day trying to finish all the video board stuff, and it was like way out of my league to do anything like that. Like, I've never designed for why am I the one doing the graphic designing for the Halo board? Like, it was cool to see it up there, and I thought it looked pretty good, but stuff like that was a lot of work, as well as just like the little things add up to be a lot of things. Something as small as coordinating the turf clay mat for home plate, like such a small task, but having to call 8 different places to find it, and once you find the place to do it, then coordinating how much we're going to pay you for it, when's it going to get delivered, when's it going to get dropped off, who's dropping it off, when are they going to drop it off, where are we going to put it when it's dropped off, when are you going to pick it up, where's it going to be put before you pick it up. Like, that one little thing on the field is so much work.
Yeah.
And you got to just like keep reminding yourself, okay, today I need to call this many venues, tomorrow I need to figure out like that, then like coordinating breakfast, like lunch, Jimmy John's, like finding a place that will bring food and deliver it, and figure out who's going to pay for it, how they're going to pay for it, where's it going to be put, which locker rooms the food going to go into, like small stuff like that. That's not even in the video at all, but can ruin a day.
It adds up.
It adds up. So there's more things I'm forgetting, I'm sure, but like I just explained with the turf mat thing, one small thing it can turn into a decent chunk of work. And when it's just 2 people and Kyle's, of course, we're trying to do our normal day-to-day operations as well as plan that. It's like way too many hours in 1 week to work. So, well,
you did get a lot of help from, I mean, maybe this would be a good time to just mention all the other people that were there helping out. You know, we had Mark, we had Denise, we had Brendan, Cole Story was there helping out with the photography. I'm not sure if I got the name of the other photographer that was there.
We had a kid named Andrew Mills.
Okay, yes.
He's Cole's friend.
Okay.
So, yeah, he was there, as well as Ethan Weiner, who is
Ethan.
a famed videographer from the wiffle ball community. He films like all the big national tournaments. So he came down and helped us out. Parents, Mr. Walgate I had at the front door passing out flyers and rally towels. And your wife was helping with the merch tent.
Sarah, she got her hands dirty a little bit.
Sarah Aigner, that is. Fun story. I was making the guest list for people to get into the stadium, and Sarah went to high school with me and Jack. And so like I had her maiden name, I guess you could say now, on the guest list. And Jack's like, my wife's name is Sarah Aigner, not Sarah Beck. And I was like, good call. I'll change that.
That was pretty funny.
But yeah, a lot of help. Very, very appreciative of it all. Even at Lucky's, everyone making signs and getting involved in that and taking a break from their food was definitely crucial to the event, as well as, you know, their staff that was going above and beyond for us. Really 2 people that were on the front lines. But that was new too, because last year, of course, at SoFi, we had like the people that we worked with to get there. But then once we were going, it was sort of hands off for anybody at the stadium. Whereas now it was like it was funny, like seeing all the security and staff at the gate. And I was trying to get Mr. Walgate in the door to help like start the event off, basically. And they're like holding him up. I'm like, he's with me, let him in. Like, and there's all these staff members everywhere and people working concessions and stuff like that. So it was a big operation. It's kind of cool.
It takes a village.
Takes a village for sure. And I would love to keep the village growing, but we only sold, the number was around $350 for tickets. So I didn't have like a massive budget to work with. So it ended up being a lot of work for me and Kyle, but I don't want to spoil too much. I'll probably cut some stuff out that we said, but overall, I'm excited to talk about it in a couple weeks because I think it went pretty well.
Yeah, me too. It was an awesome event.
I could probably give some more details later on, but I don't know. I mean, you got to experience it firsthand, so we can talk about your experience a little later, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think you enjoyed it overall.
It was amazing. Like the event just top to bottom. You wouldn't think that it was like coordinated by just 2 people.
Yeah.
You guys did a really good job, and
it definitely could have been better at times. But yeah, I think from a surface level, the feedback from the people that were there was really good, and I appreciate all you guys that were there, not spoiling anything yet, which is awesome.
Yes, yeah,
that was on the flyer.
That's huge.
Another small thing once again that took probably 3-4 hours one night was making the flyer that said, "Don't spoil anything if you're going to be there.
Don't be a rat.
Don't be a rat," which everyone's been very good about. And if you know someone was there, don't pester them in their DMs. I've seen some, you know who you are.
Don't be that guy.
I've seen
girl.
Screenshots of people that are DMing people repeatedly saying, what happened, what happened, what happened. And don't be that guy. I'm going to put you on the blacklist from
Just
our
don't
events.
do it.
Don't be that guy.
Just don't do it.
Oh, World Series predictions. You want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah.
So I, unknowingly for Jack.
Magic in 3.
I talked to, I know that's Jack's pick. But I talked to the other MLW managers not named Jack or Daniel or Kyle, because Kyle in the video said I'm not making a prediction because I got to call the series. So we'll respect that for Kyle.
Nice.
But I talked to the other managers, the remaining managers, and asked them what their thoughts were on the series prior to it being played to give me their predictions. So, Jack, we can play a little game here. Let me grab my notes. And
I get to guess who it was?
I want you
Nice.
Well, that's actually a fun way we could do this.
Oh.
I could read you what the person's prediction was and their reasoning why, and you could guess who it is.
I thought, well, what were you going to do?
I was going to just have you, I was going to say like, okay, this is Warda. Who do you think he picked?
Oh, yeah.
But
let's do the other one.
I like your way better.
Yeah.
I like your way better. Okay, so I'll pop it up on screen now. Here are all the picks. As we know already, Jack has the Magic. We'll say it in 3. Magic in 3. What's the prediction, Jack?
Magic in 3.
Magic in 3. We know Dan has the Eagles. I myself revealed in the preview show that I'm taking Eagles in 4, primarily because, and Jack, this is with all due respect, I'm a big Magic fan, but I think the Eagles offense is a pesky offense. I've seen it firsthand. And I think Bonham's stuff resembles that of my arms, which are Caden and Jordan Robles, in terms of it's not that dynamic on the movement side of things. So I do think the Eagles offense is going to eat him alive. For that reason, I got the Eagles in 4. The next guy I have on the list here, Jack, is predicting that the Magic win in 5 games. And he says, well, this is going to be pretty obvious. But he goes, Magic in 5. Both teams look dominant as of late, but my gut says Magic in 5. I'm excited to tune in from Cancun.
Oh, that's Zerlag.
That's Zerlag. That one was kind of, the other ones aren't that obvious.
Okay.
But
yeah,
that was funny start. Yes, Zerlag is going Magic in 5.
Nice.
Next manager.
Let's go.
You're 1 for 1.
That
was the easy one. That was a cupcake. That was
right.
softball. Next manager says Eagles in 4. The Eagles are a more complete team. They will grind out better at bats and put the ball in play more than the Magic. Pretty basic. Not a lot of hints there.
Yeah, I feel like that. I feel like that might be Jimmy.
That is Jimmy Norp.
Let's
2
go.
for 2.
Come
Jack
on,
Aigner,
let's
ladies
go.
and gentlemen, he's
2 for
here.
2.
Wow.
Come on, don't let the cake get hot.
I want the kid get hot. There's only 2 more here.
I know.
Could you go 4 for 4?
Could he?
I think you will, to be honest. But all right, our next manager, he says Eagles, and he says Eagles in 2 games.
Oh,
He says the Eagles are going to stomp the Magic so
Drew
badly.
Davis.
That's correct. The Eagles are going to stomp the Magic so badly in the first 2 games. The Magic are going to forfeit so they can enjoy the rest of their trip in Atlanta. Blade Walker's chocolate milk sleeve is going to fuel the fellas.
I respect that, Drew.
Drew Davis.
That would be an unreal video if we just forfeited.
Could
in
you
the
imagine? It was so bad you forfeited. I can't imagine.
It wouldn't happen.
It probably wouldn't.
Kyle
happen.
would not allow it.
No. Well, I mean, if you're not going to play, what are you going to do? Eagles in 2, says Drew Davis. Last one. Wonder who this is. He says, Magic in 4. Magic have the momentum, will, and hunger to win it all, more so than the Eagles, in my opinion. We call this having the juice.
It's my boy.
That's your boy, Wardo.
It's my boy.
I kind of knew Wardo would go Magic. None of these surprised me too much, to be honest. Even Drew Davis saying Eagles in 2 doesn't surprise me that much.
Yeah. No, it would be tough from Alex's perspective, having not beat us in a game this year to go against us. So
The one that was a little bit surprising was Zerlag taking the Magic.
yeah, respect.
You think he'd go NL? You think he'd go NL?
You thought.
But
Who
do we think?
I think he's just disrespecting the Eagles at that point.
That could be.
I
Could be
think
a
that's what he's
little
doing.
interdivision rivalry there, a little shade
I think
thrown.
that's what it is.
I'm throwing respect to my Eagles, but Norp I kind of knew would go Eagles because of what he said on the podcast we did pre-postseason.
Pre-postseason.
But besides
Doesn't
that,
believe.
Yeah, doesn't believe.
Shame.
I don't believe. I'm trying to think if Kyle were to make a prediction. I feel like he'd predict Eagles, but I don't know. Kyle's also very high on Grant Miller. Grant Miller always has been. So
yeah. It's tough. I feel like he'd probably go Eagles too.
I think he'd go Eagles in 5.
Yeah, Eagles in 5.
Mish unofficial pick, Eagles in 5. Mark
We'll
Schultz, Eagles in 4. Is that a homer pick by Mark, by the way? Picking his own son?
I mean, he can't go against his own son.
What if he did?
What kind of a father would you be?
What if he did, though? That would have been awesome.
That would have been legendary. If he put on a top hat and, a wand.
I think top hat wand would have been perfect.
That would have been... That would have made the video better. I'm gonna just.
He should have had the Eagles sign, then hit a Lee Corso not so fast, and then Magic had it in.
That would have been real Lee Corso.
That would have been
real Lee Corso. Not so fast. Pulls the top hat out.
Nobody believed in them but themselves, and it's still just themselves. Not so fast. Magic.
That would have been great.
Yeah, Mark did a great job. What a performance from him.
All time.
All time. I agree. All time. All right. Well, those are your manager World Series predictions. A pretty even split there. Zerlag with the surprise pick, but other than that, it was kind of chalked.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of chalked, but even split. Good series. Hopefully, we'll see. We shall see. Let's move right along into this week's comment of the week. And Jack, this is a twofer.
Yep.
And it's directly about us. Directly about us this week. Comment number 1, and this feels personal. I don't know where this is even coming from. This was a comment prior to the World Series preview show dropping. I think it was on the community page post on YouTube. And it says, Tommy about to do the Minecraft villager noises per usual. Do I sound like that? Do you know what those sound like?
I'm going to be honest.
It's like
I'm not a big...
Yeah.
that
noise.
You doing that, though, I feel like I've definitely heard that.
From me?
No. Well, maybe. Do it again.
No.
Do it again.
I'm not doing it again.
I feel like I have heard that. I'm not a big Minecraft guy, so I didn't really get the comment. But then you just made that noise, and I get where it's coming from.
You do get where it's coming from.
Yeah.
That sounds insulting.
I've heard it before.
But no, when am I, per usual, doing that is my question.
I don't know. I don't think you do that in the videos.
Apparently so. I'm glad to see it didn't have any...
Can you do it one more time?
No. I'm glad to see that within an hour it didn't have any likes.
Was it like... Was that it? Was that it?
It's like... But I'm glad to see within an hour it didn't get any likes. So maybe this guy is just going off on a limb here, making a bold statement.
Shade.
But you got some shade thrown at you too from Nate Hoover. And he says, is Aigner part giraffe?
It's a good question, Nate.
What's the answer to the question?
Unconfirmed. But this has been a question that has followed me around for my entire life, basically.
Actually.
Yes.
I don't believe you.
As long as I can remember.
So you have been compared to a giraffe before.
It's been happening my entire life. It's been happening my entire life, all throughout, all throughout grade school, high school. Even people in college that did not know me from high school would just say, they'd also bring it up and be like, dude, you have the longest neck I've ever seen. It's a neck. I don't know. I don't get it. It's probably not evident right now in the video because I'm wearing like 3 different layers. I probably look like the Michelin Man, but I don't know what it is.
I've never noticed you having an irregularly long neck. I
do have a really long neck. And
I got a big nose. I take a bird comparison.
While we're talking about the neck, I'll bring up, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but when I was a young child, actually, my neck was like, it was so long, but it was not straight. Like it had like a curvature to it.
Okay.
So I literally had to wear like a neck
brace.
It wasn't really a brace. It was more just like a pad that would keep my neck straight. Like I would come home and I would have to like I wouldn't wear it out in public, but I would have to, I wore that.
That would have humbled you as a kid, I think.
It did. It did. Just even at home.
In public.
Oh, in public?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been horrible. I wouldn't have any friends.
I don't think I had to do anything terribly in public before. I was on crutches for a while, but I think that's normal.
Yeah.
That's not terrible. I had my arm in a sling one time as a child, like really young. No neck braces for me that I can remember.
I will say giraffes are just really cool though, so I'm not really like that offended by it.
You ever seen a giraffe fight? It's like
it's insane.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's insane. They're also just like kind of one of a kind animals. It's like there's nothing else like a giraffe.
I'm gonna post a picture this week of you next to a giraffe, and we're gonna see if we see it.
This comment made me laugh so hard because it's like another person that doesn't know me that has like said something.
I gotta get a good look at your neck, Jack. I've never noticed it being too long.
It's long. It's long.
Well, for the record, I have not been compared to Minecraft villagers my whole life, but hopefully this isn't the start of something. And if it is, I gotta change something because it's not a compliment. I don't think. Minecraft, what a game! I played that during COVID a little bit. Speaking of video games in general, Jack, I was humbled. Speaking of being humbled too, I was humbled this weekend, big time.
Yeah.
Talk about how wiffle ball's a young man's game. Fortnite came back. The OG Fortnite, big news. Everyone's playing that again. My gosh.
No shot.
I haven't played that game in a couple years, and I was pretty good back in college. I'd play it from time to time. Yeah. I was humbled, and it was embarrassing.
By a bunch of probably 12-year-olds.
Yeah, there was a tweet that made me absolutely die laughing this morning. I sent it to all my friends, and it was like when you land Salty Springs and die in 30 seconds by a kid who was born in 2014.
Yeah.
And it was the video of Aaron Rodgers running on the tunnel with the flag on the Jets. And because that's what it was like. It was like, how is everyone still so good at this? Like, as everyone just kept playing and I was the only one who stopped playing. Like, it was unbelievable how good everyone was.
So I don't understand. I'm not a Fortnite guy. It was taken off the market now and then it's back, or what happened?
Basically, like Fortnite has been a good game and like one of the best games ever because it's been consistently updated. Like they've always kept it evolving and evolving and evolving. Same game, but just like
new stuff.
Yeah, it's not like Call of Duty where it's a new game every year. It's the same game. It's been just changing like every couple months, basically. So they just reverted back to the or like one of the original
OG.
maps. It's not like a true OG map, but like 2017-18-esque map. They went back. So
it's been
5 years.
But the game never went away.
Game never went away.
I'm saying. Okay.
But I did hear this was like the highest live player count it's ever had in its 7-year history or whatever.
Wow.
But I feel like I'm the only one who got worse in that time off because everyone else seemed to be just as good as they were before, man. I got a couple of wins, but I was carried big time.
Yeah. I just never, as soon as I played it to a point, and then like as soon as people started building like skyscrapers in like 3 seconds, I was like, I'm good. I'm done.
It literally had to be.
I don't have the time.
It had to be
focus.
A part-time job to like keep up.
No, I didn't have the drive.
Well, this might appeal to you. There's a no build mode now. There's a mode with zero building involved. You can't build. It's just
you're just walking around shooting each other.
Yeah, like you just use natural cover like rocks and trees and houses and whatnot to hide.
that like a real man.
Yeah, like a real man.
Yeah,
and that's what I thought.
Don't build your tower and hide from me. Coward.
It's a man's fight out there right now, but I'm losing that fight.
It should just be fist fights, honestly.
I'll get rid of the weapons with my pickaxe.
Yeah.
Just hit the guy. I've been there before.
Yep.
But yeah, it was fun to play. This is my first weekend with not really much work to do in months.
Mm-hmm.
And even like the weekend or two that I had off from June till late August, September even, like I was always doing stuff then because like I hadn't seen family in a while or friends in a while, so I didn't leave the house this weekend. I went to the gym twice, but besides that, I was inside.
Good man.
Fortnite, football. It was great.
I do have one funny story.
Yeah. I heard you have a story. I do have
a funny story. So we've talked on this podcast before, I believe, about one of our players from last year who did not make an appearance on the Magic this year in James Swanson. That was not for any particular reason other than the fact that I reached out to James Swanson.
When?
Before the season started.
Okay.
To see what his availability was, if he was up for even playing again, blah, blah, blah. Never heard back. I called him. I texted him. I asked Kyle to do the same. Kyle never heard back from him.
I did not know this, by the way.
So we just chalked it up to he doesn't want to do it, or I don't know where he is or what he's doing. And then we post something on Instagram related to the World Series, and I read the comment. I'm looking in the comment section, and there's one from James Swanson that says, "I'll take my ring in the mail when it's over," or something like that, something along the lines of that. So long story short, I DM him like, "Hey, where have you been?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like,
"A new phone?"
I was like, "Dude, I called you, like I texted you," and he's like, "Oh, did you do like this number?" And I looked, and it was not the same number.
Man, the old switcheroo.
So the old number switch got me, and I didn't have contact with technically one of my players for the entirety of the MLW season. And he's like, "Yeah, let me know. Like, I'm still around if you ever need me."
You think he would have maybe DM'd you, or
you'd think? I don't know. If he was following the league and seeing everything going on, maybe he would reach out. But at the same time, maybe he didn't get the number. He didn't get the text, so maybe he thought I was just being a jerk,
freezing him out.
And I'm just like, yeah, I'm not gonna talk to him.
But if you get a new phone, that has to cross your mind. Like, you might not have my number. You know.
I don't know if it was. Well, you don't get a new phone number every time you get a new phone.
No,
like
I don't know why.
He must have got a new
network,
an actual number. Which, yeah, you should probably let the people know who need your number that you got a new number. So that was just a fun little tidbit. I got a chuckle out of just the irony of me thinking that he fell off the face of the earth, in reality just got a new phone number, and then he's commenting.
Well, counter argument to this, Jack, is a couple things come up from that conversation. Number one is you currently have 6 guys in the roster. You can only have 6 guys at the Meadows. Oh, so he's a reserve technically.
Okay.
Did that have to do with
how many reserves can we have?
2, I think.
Okay,
so like he's still like yours. Like, okay. I can't like pick him up for a series unless I like acquired him from you.
Okay.
Anything beyond 2 guys, kind of fair game for subs.
I see.
But you found this out when? Was this before or after the draft? You couldn't get a hold of him.
It was around that time. I don't even know. It was because I was trying to plan.
Because I was going to say, yeah, would you have gotten AJ if you already had Swanson?
I don't know. That's probably.
Okay.
Because probably. I mean, we really added AJ from like just another bat to have.
Okay.
And because I mean, James wasn't like he kind of did it all for us. He just filled in where
he's never gotten a hit, but he's been close many times.
He's been close. So I think we were just going for more of a little better option at the plate. So probably.
Okay. That's fair. I haven't had anybody go MIA on me. Ben Wilson was a guy who I did not play this year, but I believe I texted him last fall in the spring, kind of seeing what his situation was, and he understood what was going on. So all good there. But I mean, a new number that'll throw you a curveball.
Good pawn.
Yeah. Thanks. A slider.
Maybe a banana ball.
Maybe a banana ball if you're not careful enough. But all right, long pod. Let's wrap it up. Good pod. Next week, Jack, I'm actually debating about this too a little bit. So let me know your thoughts right now. Next week, we have Friday is game 1 this week.
Yes.
Game 2 is Tuesday.
Yes.
So if we upload on Tuesday at 4 p.m. to YouTube, that's the same time as game 2 of the World Series.
Mm-hmm.
Do we wait these next few weeks, depending on how long the series goes, and do Wednesday uploads instead? Talk about 2 games at once instead of just doing 1 game and then like backtracking a week?
I think so. I think that
might be the right. I don't know if it's people be like, oh, look, let's pod on Tuesdays, but I think it makes more sense to be able to talk about the game that just happened the next day versus like
both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Versus like talking about only game 1 on Tuesday and then waiting a whole week to do games 2 and 3.
It's very confusing.
Here's what happened, Jack. If we upload on Tuesday, that will be the day of game 2.
Right.
For sure.
Yes.
So we would only talk about game 1 though, if we on Monday.
Right.
So that's an option to only talk about game 1 and upload that on the day of game 2 coming out.
I think we should do that.
You think so?
Yeah, I think we should.
Other option is to upload on Wednesday and talk about both game 1 and game 2. And the following week, we would have games 3 and 4 if necessary.
Yeah. What are you leaning towards?
I mean, I like the consistency of the Tuesday thing, but I feel like having a pod drop at 4 o'clock as well as the video, like the pod just like instantly outdated. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll think about it.
But maybe the video will get them so jazzed up that they're just looking for more MLW content.
No, that's
and we'll get even more listeners.
That's very true. Very true. But I don't know. We'll think about it. Let us know, guys. Send us a DM. What do you think we should do? Tuesday upload, only talk about the first game, or Wednesday upload, talk about games 1 and 2.
Let us know.
We'll give the people what they want. But until then, next week we have, of course, something to talk about, World Series related. It'll be either 1 game or 2 games, so make sure you guys tune into that. Fun fact for the week is Daniel Schultz loves a good southern fried catfish dinner. We'll see you all next week on either Tuesday or Wednesday.
Pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up, pipe it up.